Hello folks, welcome to Code Crux. This is Mahesh Guhani, and in this video I am going to talk about classical and fuzzy logic. This is the second video of this topic. In first video I have already talked about connectives, tautology and contradiction, and in this video I am going to talk about implication and the logical proofs. Before you watch this video, I recommend you to watch the first part. Link of that video is given in description box. Let us start with logical proofs. So this is the recapitulation of the first video. That logic is defined as a way to quantitatively develop a reasoning process that can be replicated and mathematically manipulated. That means, given the claim, we should be able to prove it through mathematical steps or by some thought process. And logic is an ability of the human to reasonably think about something and make a decision and to infer something from the given claim. A proof is an argument from a hypothesis to conclusion. So as we discussed in previous video, to prove that given statement, that is either modus ponens or modus tollens, is a tautology, we have started with the given statement, we have applied a step-by-step simplification, and at the end we have proved that this is actually a tautology. So this procedure is called proof procedure. Each step of argument follows the laws of logic when we are giving some logical proofs. If you remember, at every step we are applying certain laws like law of identity, law of distributivity. We have also applied law of excluded middle. Fine. So at every step we can apply this kind of mathematical laws and we can proceed to prove the given claim. To prove the given proposition, we should follow these steps. We have to analyze a given compound statement or given compound proposition which is given in the form of linguistic statement. That means in real world, the problems are formulated with the English language or with the linguistic terms. So first we need to understand it properly, that which part is hypothesis, which part is the conclusion, or what is depending on what. Then we need to decompose that bigger compound statement into individual or the single propositions, and we have to express those statements algebraically with all the logical connectives in a proper place. We have already talked about different type of connectives. So we have to check out using which connectives we can combine which propositions. And finally, we have to verify the truth value of entire bigger proposition using either truth table or by some deductive reasoning procedure. Let us try to understand it with the example. We are given three statements in the hypothesis, like scientists are mathematicians, logical thinkers do not believe in magic, and mathematicians are logical thinkers. And the conclusion is that scientists do not believe in magic. So we have to prove whether this claim is true or not given the hypothesis. So what we need to do is we have to understand it, that what it wants to say. So we have here term scientists are mathematicians. So person can be scientist, person can be mathematician also. Next, logical thinkers do not believe in logic. So we have, again it's a compound statement, that person could be logical thinker and the person may or may not believe in logic. So again it is a combination of two different propositions. And mathematicians are logical thinkers. So person can be mathematician, he can be logical thinker also. So first we have to find out such small individual composition, and then we have to formulate the association or the relations between them with the help of connectives. Let us call a person is a scientist as a proposition P. Let us label a person is a mathematician as a Q. A person is a logical thinker as a R. And a person believes in magic as capital S. So we have found out individual propositions from these compound propositions. Now we will apply certain connectives and we will try to formulate individual hypothesis statement. The first one is scientists are mathematicians. So if person is scientist, then he is a mathematician. So this is if then association, and if then kind of rules we can always represent with the help of implication operator. So scientists are mathematicians can be represented using the implication like P entails Q or P implies Q. That is, if person is scientist, then he is mathematician. The second hypothesis says logical thinkers do not believe in logic. So we have proposition as a person believes in magic. So we have to take complement of that because this statement says that person do not believe in magic. So the representation for logical thinkers do not believe in logic would be R implies S bar. The third hypothesis, mathematicians are logical thinkers. We can represent it in quite straight away method. Q implies R. So Q states that person is mathematician and R states that he is logical thinker. Conclusion says that scientists do not believe in magic. So we have a proposition P which says a person is scientist, and we have proposition S which says a person believes in magic. So scientists do not believe in magic can be represented as P implies S bar. So this is the mathematical representation of individual proposition. To create an entire statement, we have to again combine them with the help of appropriate prepositions. So we have to combine all these propositions with the help of appropriate connectives. So we can write down the entire claim, that is hypothesis entails conclusion, as like this: P implies Q, conjunction R implies S bar, conjunction Q implies R, and that hypothesis itself implies the conclusion called P implies S bar. We can't use disjunction here because disjunction will say that if any one of the compound hypothesis is true, then conclusion is true. That is not true in fact, because all the given statements in hypothesis must be true in order to prove that conclusion is also true. So whenever we are given such kind of statements and whenever we are combining them, remember that we should always put intersection or the conjunction operation between the individual hypothesis statement. And to check that the given claim is true, we need to prove the truthness of this. So if it is true under all the circumstances, we can say that given claim is true, otherwise it is false. So let us try to prove it, that given statement is fall in tautology or not. Either we can prove it using deductive reasoning process or we can prove it using the tabular method. We have four different propositions P, Q, R and S. So we will create a table of 16 rows because there will be 16 different combinations. If there are n propositions in statement, then there will be 2 raised to n different combinations of truth value in the table. Let us try to compute one by one composition, and finally we will compute the truthness of entire statement. So we will be needing S bar here. So the complement of S bar is given as like this. Let us compute P entails Q. As we know that this statement will be only false if P is true and Q is not true. So for this particular case, we can observe that P is true and Q is not true. So for those entries, this P entails Q will take false value, and for rest of all the entries, it will take value true. Let us compute R entails S bar. In similar way, we can compute the truthness of this statement also. Q entails R would look like this. P entails S bar. So whenever P is true and S bar is false, the final compound statement will take value false. For rest of the cases, it will take the true value. So here, this part forms the hypothesis. We can represent it as a X. This part forms the conclusion. So the truthness of X is given as like this. So we have to take the intersection of this and this column. So if all three values are true, then final value is true, otherwise it is false. And to find out the truth value of hypothesis entails conclusion, we have to see that whenever hypothesis is true, conclusion should not be false. If it is false, then final truth value will be false, otherwise it is true. But as we can observe, wherever this hypothesis is true, the conclusion is also true, and hence its truth value is T. As we can see that the truth value of entire compound statement is always true, and hence this is a tautology, or we can say that this statement is true under any value of P and Q, and hence it is proved. Let us consider another example. We have a hypothesis statement. It says if you score 95% or above, your success is represented by good grade. The another statement says you score 95% and above, and the conclusion is that your score is represented by a good grade. The first statement is actually a compound statement, and the individual propositions in that are you score 95% and above, that is one statement, and your success is represented by good grade is another statement. So let us assign the appropriate notations to this and apply the connectives. So statement P says you score 95% and above, and Q says your success is represented by a good grade. So if there is a compound statement, we need to apply connectives on that. So in first statement, it is kind of if-then rules, that if you score 95%, then your success is represented by good grade. So this statement we can write like P entails Q. The second statement in hypothesis that you score 95% and above, that is a quite straightforward statement, and it is represented by P. And in conclusion, again we have a single statement, that is your success is represented by a good grade, which we can represent as a Q. Now we have to put it into the form hypothesis entails conclusion, and whatever statements are given into the hypothesis, we have to take conjunction of that. That means P entails Q, conjunction P will entail Q. We have to prove the truthness of this statement. We have two propositions, so there will be four combinations in the table. Let us compute P entails Q. We know that whenever P is true, Q should not be false. If it is false, truth value is false. For rest of other cases, it is true. Let us find the conjunction of this statement with P, which is nothing but TF. So this is our hypothesis, and our conclusion is Q. So whenever hypothesis is true, Q should not be false, and there is no such cases in this particular combination, and hence the statement is always true. So we can say that whatever claim we have made is always true, and we have proved it with the help of this table. Proof by contradiction. A statement is true only if its alternate statement is false. So many times it is easy to prove the alternate statement as a false to prove the truthness of given statement, because sometimes to prove it in a straightforward way may be difficult, but to prove it through the contradiction will be quite easy. Consider the example of finite automata, which represents a set of strings which are having a ABB as a substring. So that automata might generate millions of strings which are having ABB as a substring. So based on those million strings, we cannot say that finite automata is correct. If I can find out a single string which is not having ABB as a substring, then I can make a sure claim that this finite automata is false. Consider P entails Q, conjunction P entails Q. We want to prove that this statement is correct. So we will first find out alternate statement of this, and we'll prove that that alternate statement is false. So as we know, P entails Q we can write as P bar union Q. If we take the alternate statement of this, that means we have to take the complement of this entire statement, and by applying De Morgan's law, we will conclude that it would be P bar disjunction Q, conjunction P, conjunction Q bar. Let us try to prove the truthness of this statement with the help of table. Observe all the columns. We can see that the last column, that is our given statement, is having all the value false. So alternate statement is taking all the value false, and hence original statement will take all the values true. And hence we have proved through the contradiction that given statement is true because its alternate statement is false. Implication. Implication is quite important concepts from the perspective of fuzzy logic controller design, because the controllers are designed with the help of if-then kind of rules, and they are very effectively represented with the help of implication. So if we are given the rule if A then B, where A and B are derived from universe capital X and Y respectively, so the rule if A then B can be represented in form of relation matrix as R is equal to A Cartesian product B union A bar Cartesian product Y. Here I am considering crisp set. So A and A bar will represent set and its complement. Here don't consider A bar as a fuzzy set as of now. we have already talked how to compute the membership value of any tuple in Cartesian product. If you don't know, then I recommend you to watch the video on crisp relations. The link is given in the description box. The membership value of any tuple x comma y in this relation matrix R is given as chi R of x comma y, which is equivalent to, as it is a union of these two terms, we have to take max of two arguments a by b and a bar by y, where membership value of a by b, that is the Cartesian product, is given as mean of chi a of x comma chi b of y, because a and b are derived from the universe x and y respectively, and the membership value of a bar by y is given as mean of chi of a bar, that is 1 minus chi a of x, and 1, because y represents universe and the membership value of all the element in y will be definitely 1. And if we have compound statement like if a then b else c, then in that case the relation matrix for this entire statement is given as R is equal to a by b union a bar by c. Membership value of every element x comma y in the relation matrix R is computed as chi R of x comma y is equal to, as it is a union of these two quantity, union will be replaced by max. This Cartesian product is replaced by mean, and we have to take mean of chi a of x comma chi b of y, and the second quantity is again a Cartesian product a bar by c, which is given as 1 minus chi a of x comma chi c of y. Let us consider two universe capital X as 1, 2, 3 and Y as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and two crisp sets we have derived like A is equal to 1, 3 and B is equal to 2, 4, 5. Let us find out what would be the relation matrix for the statement if A then B. As we know from the previous slide, the relation matrix for this implication statement is given as R is equal to A by B union a bar by y. So first we'll write down all the related or all the required sets here. So A can be represented as 1 by 1 because membership value of element 1 is 1 in the set A. Then 0 by 2 because element 2 is not present in set A, and 1 by 3 because 3 is present in set A, so its membership value will be 1. In similar way we can write down B, A bar and Y. Y will have membership value for all the elements as 1 because all elements are part of universe. Let us compute A by B first. So to compute this value in Cartesian product, we have to consider minimum membership value of 1 in A and 1 in B. So that is 0. To compute this membership value in A by B, we have to take minimum membership value of 1 in A and 2 in B. In general, to compute the membership value of any tuple x comma y in A by B, we have to find minimum membership value of x in A and y in B. In identical way, we can compute the relation matrix for A bar by y, and we need to take union of these two matrix, and we know that union always returns the maximum membership value of two arguments. So R would look like this. So this will be the final rule metric for the statement like if A then B. The deductive inference is also known as approximate reasoning. According to the Jade, the ultimate goal of fuzzy logic is to form the theoretical foundation for reasoning about imprecise propositions. Such reasonings has been referred as approximate reasoning. What it says that if we are given a rule if A then B, which is represented as like R is equal to A by B union A bar by B bar. So we already have some known facts. From that we have formulated rule if A then B. So if we are given some unknown A dash, can we compute B dash from that? Or if we are given B dash, can we compute A dash for that? So it is something like a bit of learning that for known fact we have formulated rules. Now some unknown value is coming. Can we conclude or can we derive the conclusion for that particular value, or can we find the corresponding value for that? So yes, we can do it definitely with the help of generalized modus ponens or generalized modus tollens rule. Consider that A and B represents the temperature and the pressure. So for given data, we are finding what is the relation of temperature with the pressure. Now some unknown value of temperature is given, that is A dash. Can we compute the corresponding value of pressure with the help of this relation matrix R, which is already known? So we can do it definitely with the help of generalized modus ponens and modus tollens rules. In that case, this conclusion B dash is given as composition of A dash with relation matrix R. So R is already known quantity to us, which is derived from the facts which are already known, and A dash is some unknown parameter, and for that we have to find out corresponding B dash parameter. So that can be computed with the help of composition, and that is nothing but A dash composition A by B union A bar by Y. We will talk more about such kind of rules in fuzzy inference systems, in which we will be talking about different types of inference systems like Mamdani fuzzy inference system, Takagi-Sugeno inference system, Tsukamoto inference systems, and so on. That's it for today, folks. See you in next video. If you think this video was useful to you, then please like, comment, and share. Don't forget to subscribe the channel Code Cracks. Press the bell icon for the notification of latest videos. Stay connected, stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.